Hi and welcome to my channel. So I'm sure you see by the title of this video, but I thought it'd be really fun just to do a 3 looks, 3 palettes video. And for me, I am actually dipping into my collection to pull from some stuff that I already have. This first look here, I did use the Nomad Cosmetics Witch City Salem palette. Here is this gorgeous color story. I have actually yet to pick the other 2 palettes, so we shall see it later on in the video. I'm actually excited to see what I will create later on. But I really wanted to do this idea. For one, I think that a lot of us, myself included, kind of love Spookyween, Summerween kind of vibes. It is not Halloween season yet, but I think some fellow spooky people like myself want some Summerween vibes. So I really wanted to just dip in my collection, pull out some stuff that I have that is geared more towards Halloween, Spookyween ideal, and we can create some fun looks. Let's go ahead and delve into our first look. For look 1, I wanted to play with the Nomad Witch City Salem palette. Love this palette so much. It did come out last year, and I just feel like I have not given enough love. For one, mainly because I've not played with it since last year. It's seriously really freaking gorgeous. So that is why we're using it today. I'm going to go ahead and start off with my favorite shade. If you don't know, if you can't see it behind me, it's kind of dark, but whatever. I love Hocus Pocus. So we're going to start with the first shade, Hocus Pocus. And then, sorry if you can see any like messiness here in the front. It is so hot. It is still freaking summer, so I have a fan on me. That's why I have my mic. Hopefully it's sounding good. But I feel like runny eyes are seriously always such an issue for me, having like a fan pointed on me. So just ignore that. I'm hoping to do the shimmers and stuff. It should still look good, but just in case you notice that. But anyways, Hocus Pocus, I'm taking this pencil brush. This is by Melt. And I'm just going to start running this shade under the lower lash line, stopping where that colored part of our eye is, dragging it out just to kind of match up with our brow shape. And I'm going to switch over to a small flat brush. This one is by Real Techniques. Taking it to that same place where a color part of our eye is. And I'm kind of creating a bit of a shape with this. So just taking it to my crease, and I'm going to connect with this outer corner and just fill in the rest of this outer corner shape. I will be taking my time to decide if I like where it is sitting. A lot of times I try to match it up with my brow shape. I know my brows are a little bit higher, like kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say stripe at the tail. I've been doing a little bit more out lately, so I can't fully do that, but I feel like for me, it always just makes it look a bit more finished. Switching over to Salem Common, the super vibrant purple shade. I'm going to start off with that same flat brush from Real Techniques. And I'm just going to start running this along the lower lash line, just where that colored part of my eye is. And I do want to take my time to build this shade up. And then I'm going to start just running it along the edge of this deeper purple shade, just to help it to start blending out. So as I'm applying, I'm kind of just using the brush back and forth to help it to diffuse. And then if we want, or if we need to, we can always go back in and adjust and re-intensify this purple just to have the pigment that I want. And following the same thing I did on the bottom, adding that shadow into where that colored part of our eye is on the top. But I am leaving like my lid space clear. And then as you see, I did use the bright green shade, which is called Dark Demons, which I'll do in a second. My literal favorite shade of this palette. Is so stunning. But I find that it's not really a natural transition to go from the purple to the green, especially when I think kind of color theory. Usually I think it would be what? Purple, blue, then green. Or you can use like a brown or something. If you're not new to my channel, Girl is Colorblind. And I kind of am starting to view that more as like a superpower, because I will try out other shades that I think will work better to kind of transition that, especially because we don't really have a blue in this palette. I know technically this purple is probably a little bit leaning blurple, the Salem Common shade, but like I think it's pretty purple, still pretty vibrant purple. But the shade that I did use, and I think it worked pretty dang well, is going to be Seven Gables. I am pretty sure this is a green, but to me it almost has a bit of like a brown, like a richness, which I think is working or did work on this side. So I think I'm just going to take same brush, trusty little brush by Real Techniques. I swear, if you've not tried Real Technique brushes, I really like them. Some of them are really good. I really do wish, I've not like seen anything from them in a long time. like if they're coming out with new stuff, but I really wish that they did singles because I do not like all of their brushes. Like they do some brushes singles, but a lot of times they used to do kits. I'm not sure if they still do that, but a lot of the times I would have like 1 or 2 brushes that I did like from the kit and the rest I just didn't like or felt like I needed. And sometimes if you're like a makeup lover, if you're a brush you like, you want to use like multiple. But anyways, sorry, randomly getting off topic. I'm just going to take 7 Gables and I really want to just take a little bit. So as you see, I was kind of tapping off my brush. I really am just going to use this just to transition and soften. And I will say too, in my opinion, tonally, or the amount of depth that this shade has, so it's like a bit of a darker shade, mid to darker shade, but it is very similar to those other shades that we used previously. I think it is also really helping that to just kind of create this transition that should not work, but is. And I'm just gonna very simply take it all around the shape just to help everything to blend out a bit easier. I'm gonna go ahead and swap over to another brush. Judge me, I know this is a brush by Morphe. I think it's supposed to be similar to the MAC 217. I've had these brushes for like such a long time and I'd rather just not like waste them. So there are so many other brushes you could use. Of course, melt brushes, cinch brushes are another good one. It's just the grab brush that I grabbed for today. So I'm just gonna use this for right now, taking the shade Dark Demons. I think one thing I will say though is while I'm using like this brush and then also using my collection, I really want it to be, I'm just going to start packing this in the other part of the eye and kind of blending it in. But I really want it to be that for myself, but also I hope to inspire you that we really should be using our collections, using the brushes we have. I think what is hard is that and I don't think I ever will, I don't want to necessarily promote and say, oh my God, go buy this brush, it's great. I don't even know if this brush exists from Morphe, because again, I just don't really shop from them. I've discussed it a little bit on my channel real quick as we're kind of having this little side moment. I just am going to take this shade, again, very gently, just kind of buffing it all around. I really want the main green to be in this inner corner. I do have some on the brow, but I really just want it in the inner corner. It's giving like a spooky vibe, and I am so here for it. The reason that I don't really talk about Morphe, or like I know that they're under new ownership and why I don't necessarily want to support them. And again, to each their own. I think it's just, this kind of be my decision. I think that, and a lot of us probably know they did some crappy things, especially with their stores, kind of just laying everybody off. It was kind of crappy. And I do believe that some of the same people who were around, at least higher ups, at that time period still work for the company. And so for just myself, I just don't want to support them. If I really needed to pick something up, don't get me wrong, like I'm not gonna again hate on people for doing it. I think you do you. Just like I think Elf is another brand that I really don't feel like supporting currently, but I know a lot of people like them. So I think that you should just kind of use your own judgment. But one thing I do want to kind of throw out is, and what I'm really trying to do, especially because I love makeup so much, but I'm really trying to work on my like makeup consumption, is I want to support brands that I like, brands that I think are good people. Now, granted, I'm sure there's always gonna be something, but I more want to support brands that I see doing the correct things. And also, I want to support indie. I want to support smaller brands. Granted, I understand that a lot of times smaller brands can be a bit more expensive. And so that's where it really is just going to be that decision for you. Where I'm trying to go with that, especially because I am on a budget, deciding, do I need said product in the moment? You know what I mean? Like I think I even had the other day, and I know nothing about this brand. There was a brand that I saw somebody talking about on TikTok with some liquid lipsticks. If you don't know, if you can't tell, your girl loves liquid lipsticks. Is said brand, which could be an amazing brand, had them on sale for like $7.60. They're normally $20, and I was like, holy cow, what a great deal. But I'm not really in the market to buy lipsticks right now. Like I could, but I don't need them. You know, I was a little tempted, but then I was like, I already have here some favorites that I love, and this is not even my whole collection. I have a lot from Black Moon Cosmetics. I really, really do like them, but I don't need it. And so like, if I did need it, that's a terrific deal, especially if they are good. I really am trying to work through my consumption, which is also why I created this video. I'm sure I already talked about it, but why I'm creating this video is that I want us to still be able to enjoy what we have, play with what we have. Don't feel like we always just have to go buy the newest thing, and along with that, the cheapest thing. I think that our current society, you know, with the Temus and all of that, which I I really strongly don't like Temu or Shein. I've never purchased anything from them. I really think we know that the companies are not great to the workers. And I think that we as well, like, I get that life is hard and we just want to consume because that is what we're kind of shown, and it gives us that dopamine and it makes us feel better. But I think it's those moments with honestly just anything, even brands that are more expensive. I think that it is kind of better just to try to be like, okay, what do I have in my collection? What can I love? What do I not need to buy? Just for me, like, I hope I'm not like just rambling or not making sense, but I think it just, as a consumer and a makeup lover, it just makes me feel better just appreciating things in my collection. And it also honestly makes me feel better about though I would love to make this into something one day, something that makes money, I still always want to show you ideas like this that's not always about pushing something new. You know, your life would be so much better if you had this in your life. We're always all going to want new stuff, but also showing what you have is fun. I'm sorry, random long tangent. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of the DD Signature Lock-In Glow Primer. I'm just going to use this flat shader brush. This is actually from the brand Low Cornell. It is a paintbrush. I don't know if any of you are around from this time period of YouTube that I am, but back in the day, probably even like 2008, honestly, so not even 2016, sometimes like 2008, a lot of people were talking about using makeup brushes from like Michaels and stuff. So that is where I got this one from. It's like one of the oldest brushes in my collection. I love it so much. And I don't use it enough, but it's a really great, just like flat brush. If ever you're in the market, check out Michaels. I don't think Joann Fabrics exists anymore, but any craft store, if you have a local craft store, it's a fun thing as well. If you're in the market for brushes, I know that there are brands out there as well that have very affordable brushes, but just, you know, a fun little thing to throw out there. I'm going to go ahead and give this a second just to set. While we're doing that, I figure we could actually go ahead and talk about what I have on the rest of my face if you are curious. So, liquid lipstick of the day. This is the shade Myth by Black Moon Cosmetics. It is like a shiny metallic green. I do believe that they sell this separately, but I did get it in the collection that they did with Agatha all along. I've actually been wearing that trio quite a bit. I believe there's like a blue, a reddish, like burgundy shade, and this green. It's just so good. It is like $45, which is kind of high up there. I think it was $45 if they still have it, but well worth it. And if you're a dark lip lover like me, check it out if you want to. Again, save up your coins if you're looking for liquid lipsticks. These are metallic as well, which I love because it gives a nice shine, but it's very comfortable and I really do like it. Blush, my Revolution Trio. I do, once I run out of this one, I'm going to use like definitely some of the stuff I have in my collection, but I do want to try to find a more like indie blush because I think Revolution probably has a little bit of problematic issues, I'm sure, as we all know, but you know, it's a really pretty shade and I'm sure though lots of brands out there have shades similar. Highlighter is this really subtle shade. This is from ZC. It's like this, it's like this solar system looking thing. When I still had Ice Cream Beauty Box, that came in that, and I really just like it for a very subtle glow. I think that's the only thing I have similar to that. Or you could also use, if you have this trio, this highlighter shade in here, I think is a pretty subtle one as well. I just like it, and I'm trying again to get more use out of my product, so that is why I did pull for that one today. As for shimmer on the lids, let's go ahead and move on back to that. First shade I'm going to jump in with is Ropes Mansion. Just picking up with this same brush, and these shades actually pick up pretty fantastically with the brush. I don't know if it's just this brush or if it's just in general, but these are picking up so fantastic. And as far as I can tell by the shades I'm going to use today, yeah, they're not emollient. Just if you're curious, I know we've already had this, and this is not really a review video, but just to talk about them in case you are. I think this palette might still be available if you're in the market looking for a Halloween palette. I know that they will be coming out with theirs for this year coming up soon. I'll be excited to see what they do come out with, but you know, just in case you want this fun color story. Oh, and you can use code if you want to. Code Maddie. It is non-affiliated. Massive thank you though for the support. If you do, again, please, no pressure to do that. Just if you are wanting to. I love this palette. I think it has really, really great shades. So yeah, check it out. Witch Hunt, really pretty green shade. A lot of these shades have really good sparkle, which is something I absolutely love. Let's take in that shade. And then with shimmer shades, I feel like they blend in really well together, in my opinion. I mean, you know, what I experience. A lot of times I'll just take my finger over the two shades just to help marry them in. I did pick up a teeny bit more of that purple, but that way they kind of just do their own thing. Lastly, we're going to take Salem Willow. This is a beautiful green shade, and tuck that in to the inner corner. So pretty, so bright. To be honest, you probably could have just used that other green shade, but you know, I love adding another shade, and I love how bright this one is. So if you have this palette and you kind of want to not use so many shades, then just use that other one. It would be just as pretty and just as sparkly. All right, here is the end of look 1. I am so happy that I did re-pull this palette out. It is so pretty and just so fun and giving me the Halloween early Summerween vibes that I do need. Let me know what you think of this look, and let's move on to our next look. For look 2, I'm dipping in with the Witch's Familiar palette. This is a collaboration between Baddie Bean and Fantasy Cosmetica. So I'm going to start off with the shade Feline, which I believe is like a dark blue. I'm just going to take a like flat kind of brush. This one is by Melt. I do feel like I might have done a similar look to this in the past, but hey, I'm all about sometimes makeup repeating because for one, you know, the biggest goal of this is to get more use out of my makeup. But for two, like, looks are beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, if I like a look, we might as well freaking repeat it. You can't create something new every single time, though I do try, but you know. Moving up to the top, I'm just going to take a pencil brush. This is by Blend Bunny. Just taking that shade, and I'm going to fill it in my outer corner just to that colored part of my eye. Just filling in all of that color. Next, dipping in with Chant. I'm just going to take that same pencil brush, just wiped off, applying it along the colored part of our eye. I'm really enjoying how these shades blend in so well together. I'm just going to start taking it along the shape as well. I think that is something, a bit of like a trick that I've kind of been learning / figuring out, that if something is a very similar like shade family or like in terms of depth, that it really can make it a lot easier to blend in together. Flipping over to a slightly fluffier brush, this one is by Morphe. Taking that same shade, I'm going to start working some throughout my crease and all around the rest of the shape. Lastly, for the mattes, I've been dipping with Cauldron. Taking just a pretty fluffy brush from Blend Bunny, and I'm going to start working this into the inner part of the eye. I really want this to be a pretty focused shade. Just really working it in, and then we'll go through and blend it in just a second. Start working that around the shape. It's interesting, I was seeing somebody on Instagram who did a red and purple look, and I was like, oh my lord, I need to try that. And you know, it's just like not quite that, but hey, it has kind of a reddish shade and a purple. And I'm kind of loving this vibe. I still need to do like a completely, you know, only purple look or a red and purple look, which definitely could be done with this palette. Totally didn't think about that till now, but you know, hey, maybe a different time. It's gonna take a pretty clean brush and just go through and soften everything and make sure that it's blended to my liking. Going in with the DD Signature Lock and Glow Primer, I really just want to take this on the mobile part of my lid. It will naturally kind of move up a little bit, but kind of just taking my brush and dabbing into kind of where my crease naturally is. And then you do need to let this primer set for about a minute. So I figured we'll do the same thing as we did kind of yesterday. Just talk through the rest of the products on my face if you are curious. I really just want to start doing this because I think it's just fun. I don't know. And I love just talking about makeup. I would assume we all love talking about makeup. That's why we are here. And then everything I use today is pretty much indie. So blush palette. I don't know how I feel about the blush. I feel like I'm not used to wearing purple blush. So this is the Mermaid Magic by Gourmand Girls. I'm not 100% sure if this palette is still around, but I did take a shade Neptune, which is a very shade like lavendery purple kind of feels. So it kind of felt a little weird, but again, I think it's just I'm not used to wearing purple blush. I did take a little bit of Temptress just to kind of soften that and bring a bit more of warmth to it. I feel like my skin has like a lot of like more warmth redness to it. So I think that a more warm shade versus I definitely think this like purple lavendery shade was a little too more cool tone. So that is what I did for said blush. For my highlighter, I dipped in with the Nomad Sunrise Cruise Highlighter Trio. I just usually mix the first two shades. So that's just what I did for that. I did actually apply a little bit to the brow bone, so we could actually do that because I totally forgot to do that. I'm just going to dip in with the lighter shade just to pop a little bit. And then I also have a little bit around the lips, but you know, sometimes you cannot tell. Okay, I went ahead and just lined my lips with this pencil by ColourPop. And then I am also using one of their liquid lipsticks. I don't know if these still exist anymore, but it's a pretty nice shade. So liquid lipstick by ColourPop. Current Mood is the shade. And then using the same trio that I have been loving, this is the shade Immortal from Black Moon Cosmetics. I wanted to just apply just a little bit into the center of the lip. I feel like I just wanted a little bit of shine, but I still wanted that kind of matte lip on the outer corners. So that is everything on me face. So let's go ahead and move back into finishing up the eyeshadow. So I'm going to go ahead and take the shade Spells, which is a pretty, I'm going to say metallic red, dipping up with our same brush that we used before. I really am liking this brush. This brush picks up shimmers really well. I think it might be like natural fiber, so that could be why. Who would have thought a paintbrush could literally be this good? And then just dabbing that into the center of the lid. Take a little with the finger if we need to, but honestly, I think we got that full pigmentation there. It's a really pretty shade. I do wish it had like a teeny bit more sparkle, but I really do feel like a lot of times reds are struggle. If you did see my last video where I talked about the, do I have it? Yes. If you did see my last video where I talked about the Noricorn Blight Moon palette, I think their red shade here, Ruby Flame, is a lot more sparkly. So if you are looking for that kind of shade, definitely check out this palette. I do have an affiliate code, Maddie, just if you want to save some additional money. Only, of course, use it if you want to, but just want to throw that out there. If you are looking for a nice sparkly red shade, I think they might also sell a single. Not 100% sure, but they might. So definitely something to check out if you're looking for a sparkly red shade. It is definitely one of the ones that is a favorite in my current collection, or in my collection that I've seen. Red sparkly shades, I feel like, are just must be really difficult to formulate. So I'm very happy that Blight Moon was able to do that. Not Blight Moon, Noricorn. I hope I'm saying that one right. I like realized that I was saying it wrong. It's like Noir. I hear a lot of people say Noricorn though, so hopefully I'm correct. Lovely random tangents. Love that for me. Okay, Oracle. Same brush. And I'm just going to apply this to the inner part of the eye. I feel like normally I would use a brighter shade with this one, but I really like how this looks and the sparkle and everything. I am getting some fallout, but I think that is just normal and hopefully should brush away pretty easily. But I really am liking this. It's really fun, really pretty. Definitely giving me like some sort of a spooky-ish vibe. Don't fully know, but you know, I'll be honest, on a random, I'm just gonna put on mascara while we're talking, but on a random, what is your definition of like Summerween in your opinion? I think for me, because I tend to like more alternative, darker aesthetic makeup like all year round, right? And a part of me is like, oh, well, maybe like using summer colors to make more Halloween. But it's like, I feel like there's so many looks that besides just what we might think traditional orange, even though orange can be such like a summer color too. But like, I feel like unless you do like straight orange and black, like that's the only thing that's really going to give that Halloween vibe. I just more am curious like what people's idea of Summerween kind of is. Like, is in terms of makeup. Like, I would love to just know what you think of that, if you have any thoughts. I mean, honestly, wear whatever the heck you want. Call it whatever you want. It really probably is just, or it is just like a made-up trend kind of vibe thing. Which, I mean, I love, because I love Halloween. But yeah. Alright, here is completed look number 2. I really, really love how this look came out. I'm so happy that I did play with this palette today. So fun. I'm really loving this idea. Let's go ahead and jump into our next look. Alright, for our last look, I wanted to dip in with the Gourmand Girls Calavera palette. I was actually struggling which of my Gourmand Girls palettes to pick from, but this is one that I feel like always kind of just deserves some more love. And the color story to me really does scream summer kind of vibes. For the look that I did today, I did go pretty summer. It's almost feeling very like pink lemonade kind of vibes. And I think as well, hopefully it's making this video a bit more well-rounded to kind of that idea of, is it using a Halloween palette for like a summer look that makes it Summerween? I really don't know. But I'm really happy that I did pull for this palette today. So our first shade, I'm going to go in with this shade right here, There are names to these shades, but it's like cursive the way that it's written, so some of the shades I just can't read super well. I apologize about that. And then I just have a white eyeshadow base on my eyes, just make sure that my shadows pop really well, especially because we're going in with some brighter colors for this look. I'm just using the DD Signature base for that. Starting with a pencil brush, this is by Melt, and I'm just going to take that along my lower lash line where to that colored part of my eye starts, and winging it out just a teeny bit. I've actually really been wanting to work on my technique, I would say. Like, I feel like I tend to do the same thing. I'm just taking it on the top lid to the color part of my eye. Back to what I was saying, I feel like I tend to do the same thing, like the same shape a lot, which that necessarily, I don't know if is fully going to change. I do want to try other like techniques, but what I mean by work on my technique is a lot of times I feel like I'll just kind of slap color on there and the shape won't always make sense, and sometimes it'll look a little boxy, and I still like am able to get there, but I think especially with doing videos, but even just in general, if I were to do makeup on like somebody else in the future, I really want to work on my technique so that I kind of know game plan what I'm going for when I am going in. And I really kind of always want to keep my shapes very rounded. Whereas, like I said, I just noticed a lot of times lately that they were getting, it felt almost more square or a bit more blocky. And I just did not like how that was looking. And then for this look, we are using quite a few shades from this palette, and then I actually am dipping in with the Nomad Festival Carnival palette for the shimmers. I really just want to play more with my all shimmer palettes, and though this palette is absolutely gorgeous, it only has a couple of shimmers, and some of them just did not fit with the look. Definitely one of them, like one or two of them, could have worked with the look, but I really wanted to just bust the sucker out to play with it. So that is why I am doing that. But of course, you could totally use the shimmers in the palette if you are recreating this look. Okay, so next shade, I'm going to dip in with the red. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't read that one either. So it's just pretty matte red. And I'm really just using this kind of as a, we'll just say, transition between this and the pink shade we're going to do in a second. So I really am taking just a little bit, and as I probably said before, just sketching in just to help to soften. I'm taking it like a little bit more into the crease, but not a ton. And same thing on the lower lash line. I did not say this is a brush I've used before. It's by Morphe. I hope to one day find something in my collection that is similar to this that I could use. I just tend to love this brush. I don't know if it exists anymore. It is a M506. If you're not new to my channel, I'm not a big proponent of supporting Morphe, but if I have it, I am going to use it. And I think that if you as well have Morphe brushes, you might as well use them, because hello, the stuff was already made. And especially with this project, I really want to get away from waste. Like, unfortunately, waste is inevitable, but like, yeah, I want to be as good as I possibly can be. I'm going to go in with this shade here. It looks like it's kind of like a hot pink. It's a bit deeper though. And that is kind of going to be our main shade. So I'm going to work that throughout the crease a little bit. I feel like especially with this white base, it really does kind of go pink. And the reason why I use these other two shades is, especially for myself, I really always do like to kind of build up some depth. And then I am just stamping this shade, slightly swirling to get the pigment on there. Taking that shade around the shape, and then I'm buffing some underneath the eye as well. And even this is so pretty. You could definitely use a couple of the other shades or one other shade in this palette if you wanted to make this look more kind of pink. Like I said, I want it to be summery and a pink lemonade vibe. If I do not say that, that's a really big thing that I think of when I think of this, like lemonade and the pink, and it's just really pretty. All right, so for our last shade of like the pinks, I'm gonna go in with this pink here. It's like the lightest pink in the palette. I'm gonna use the same brush, just wiped off, and this is going to be our main shade for blending. So just same, taking it really around the shape. I'm not using this too much to like pull color more towards the inner part of the eye. I will basically be using it mainly just to create that soft transition to the bright yellow shade, which we'll be doing in a second. Just using very light pressure so that it can really help to blend this shade out and not impart like too much pigment. Now dipping in with the matte yellow shade, I'm just using a flat brush for that. and just stamping that into the inner part of the eye. Using a white base is really going to help, especially with this shade, or a lighter base if you don't want to do white. Just something I like for the color for one to grab onto, but to really give its full opacity. And then mainly you'll see just kind of dabbing that into the inner part of the eye. Take a little bit underneath as well. You can put a little bit on the lid, but we are going to put shimmer there, so it's like not fully needed. And then just going back with a little bit of that previous pink shade that we used, just to soften out the transition. But between the two, a little bit more. It's not too bad. I feel like it's turning a bit orangey. Now there is an orange in this palette that you could use, but because I still want to keep it that vibe of what I was saying, like a pink lemonade vibe, I'm just going to keep that shade. And then you may have noticed my lighting just might have changed a little bit. I just realized my light was like tilted to the side, so I apologize about that if the lighting just changed a bit. All right, so next step, let's go ahead and go in with shimmer. No surprises, Lock and Glow Primer by DD Signature. Just stamp across the lid and really not taking it too far into the crease. Mainly just move a part of the lid. As I get to the front part, I will a little bit more dab slightly over the yellow because I really want that goldy shade you can see. Hopefully it's gold, to really impart some color. And then with this primer, you do want to wait a minute for it to set. I'm sure now if you're watching this is the third look, so you'll be seeing. I've started now just talking about the rest of the products on my face, just if you are curious. So up first is going to be this Butter Blush by Cosmic Beauty. Such a pretty shade. This came out with the Sinister collection, I believe. You bought like the whole box, so it came with 3 blushes. Unfortunately, there is no name on any of the shades. I think they're just on the box, so that was a definite miss in my opinion. But this was the more mid-tone of the shades. Really, really pretty. I'm really enjoying using that product. And I know I've talked about before in the summer not wanting to use cream products, but I'm really enjoying that one. I did set it though with a powder, like another powdered blush, but I really am enjoying it. I feel like it just gives a more diffused and blended look. I did go back in with the Mermaid Magic palette from Gourmand Girls. I did just take Temptress, that bright pink shade, just to kind of keep with the flow of the look. Really do like it. I did take some of that shade also on my temples. I did not take the cream blush on the temples, but I just took that pink shade on my cheeks. I have really been enjoying putting blush on my temples. Again, as they say, makeup has no rules, and it's just been something that I really have enjoyed. How it has looked, I'm trying to get more into blush, but I feel like I was worried that I'm going to use like way too much and just look crazy. I know I already use a lot of makeup, so like whatever, I really shouldn't care. But I feel like one thing with makeup, and I will always say this, is that if you're not used to something, you kind of just have to do it. It's just a process, and figuring out what you're gonna like, what you're not gonna like, but mainly it really just is doing it. I guess a quick little story, when I was younger and I really wanted to wear red lipstick, I felt like it looked horrible on me. I finally just wore it and continuously wore it, and I started liking how it looked. Other people would comment and say it looked nice. And, you know, regardless if people comment it looks nice or not, it really does not matter. I think that as long as you like it, and I think that, again, it really just is about getting used to it. Because I have a lot of people often in my, like, regular life when I'm at work who will be like, oh my gosh, I wish I could wear colors like this, but it won't work on me or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not gonna, like, unless you're looking for inspiration, I don't really feel like it's my role to be like, absolutely, you totally can. Like, if you've already, like, told yourself you can't, then I'm just like, whatever. But I think that anybody can wear anything, basically. To a point, of course, with like certain things like skin tone. But I think that, yeah, I think that you should just do the fun thing and wear whatever you want, and that it just takes time to get used to it. Sorry, random tangent over. For highlight, I recently re-pulled this out from my collection. It is the Wet n Wild Chameleon Chromes highlighter. I don't know if you can fully see it. I feel like this just gives glitter and shimmer to the skin, which I really kind of love. It's kind of like a goldy shade. It might be a little bit of a green. I'm only saying that because of the packaging, but I'm not sure. I think they have like a blue one too, so that's why I'm saying this might be green. I don't really know. Again, colorblind problems, but hopefully it looks okay. I feel like on the skin, it really just kind of gives a sparkly kind of glow, so if you don't like that, then you probably would not like this, but I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's, again, sparkly, and I don't think it's too much, and I really like it. If you do buy this, though, and finger swatch it, I feel like it finger swatches really horribly for some strange reason, but on the face, it looks really good. Lastly, lipstick. I am just using, I don't even know, shade number 3. So this is something from my Ice Cream Beauty box. I believe it's by Charmacy. Yeah, Charmacy. So it is a liquid lipstick and a lip gloss. If you're new to my channel, I don't really like lip gloss, so I don't really use lip gloss, even though it's kind of pretty. But I did use this reddish shade. I hope that it's pulling a bit more pink. Like, I have other red shades, like darker red shades, and I feel like those are a bit more, like, warmer. So I wanted this to be a bit more, like, on the pinky burgundy side. So hopefully it works. If not, oh well, it's already there. But I liked it, and I thought it looked pretty. Okay, so that part is over. Let's go ahead and talk to the shimmers. So as I did state, I'm taking the Nomad Cosmetics Electric Carnival palette. I'm talking way too fast. For this palette, the shade I'm going to start off with is Pixie Haze. I think I am just going to use my fingers for these. You can use a brush, but I feel like it's just going to apply it the quickest. And also because these are meant to be a bit more intense, multi-chrome-y kind of shades, I do feel like they just apply a bit better with a finger. And this has a definite, like, pretty shine to it. You'll see the other shade when you use in a second. It has a bit more intense sparkle, but I tend to like to use a bit more of a softer shade on the outer corner anyways, or like the outer half of my lid. And then for the lid, we're going to take Afterglow, which what I really like about this shade is I feel like it fits this look so well because I feel like it's like a pink with yellow sparkle or gold sparkle. And I think that that just really fits this pink lemonade vibe that I'm going for. Again, just pressing it with a finger. And I really love, again, using a finger mainly, especially for the inner part of the eye. I feel like it really just allows you to kind of get in there and press and create some magic. If you have nails, you can of course use a brush. You'll probably just have to work a bit more to pick up more of the product. But I mean, just look how sparkly that is. It is so gorgeous. And this is the end of the look. I really like how it came out. So sparkly. It's definitely giving me like summertime vibes, and I hope fits the criteria for a Summerween. I mean, I think fits criteria for Summerween for me. I still feel like it's fun to be a little spooky. I guess this look is not spooky necessarily, but use our spooky makeup to create some more summertime vibes. And honestly, I really just love creating all sorts of different looks, so it's not always going to be spooky, but it is still a bit more like a dramatic because hello, it is me. But let me know what you think of this look, and let's roll into the end of the video. Alright, so here we are for the end. I would just love to know what you all think of this idea. Hopefully you all found it enjoyable. Any feedback is always greatly appreciated. I'd love to know what do you think about this video, as in I was definitely a lot more chatty. I definitely can try to work on making sure that the tutorials are a bit shorter if that is something you do appreciate for longer form content, but I know sometimes it's just a bit more fun to chat. And yeah, so hopefully you did enjoy this video. Like I said, do let me know what you do think down below. I hope you're having a great rest of your day. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed this content, and I will see you on my next one. Okay, bye!